One day after the the draft lottery, I didn't think that the main topic that I'd be making for the second video of the show was gonna be about the Bruins. We had ourselves some comments made about the goaltenders and the rotation. Don Sweeney, Jim Montgomery, they had themselves some quotes here that I thought were interesting. In fact, it's only really one thing that I wanted to talk about here. Matt Porter went out there and tweeted this out off of the end of season interviews, I guess. This is what Don Sweeney said when he was asked directly what Ullmark's injury was towards the end of the playoffs. He said it was something that was going on very, very end of the season. You also had yourselves Jim Montgomery asked if there was any regret not going to Swayman earlier in the series, and he said in hindsight, absolutely. And this is a really simple tweet, but it's one that I think opens up a huge can of worms as to how the entire Bruins series against the Panthers ended up going. If we wanted to just do the recap here, Boston was up 3-1 in the series. They won games 1, 3, and 4 with pretty convincing scores, and Linus Ullmark was the goaltender for most of this time. You see in Game 1, Ullmark had 31 saves on 32 shots against, .969 save percentage. Game 2, Ullmark had a pretty bad outing. 24 saves on 29 shots, 828 save percentage. The Panthers ended up winning 6-3 in Boston. Game 3 saw Ullmark sort of bounce back. He had 29 saves on 31 shots against, so a .935 save percentage, only 2 goals against. And then in game number 4, you had Ullmark also do the same thing. .953 save percentage, 41 saves. And this is where things get great, because Boston is up 3-1. You've got Ullmark, who was going to win the Vezina, doing his thing. Yeah, he got ejected from that Game 4 because he tried to fight Matthew Tkachuk, and Swayman had to come in, but Swayman was all right too. The guy made a save, the guy didn't allow any goals, Boston ended up winning, and it was just a very good conclusion for fans of the yellow, black, and white. Sure, he might be looking a little bit shaky, I think, they said the injury was at the end of the season, but you could definitely see towards the sort of beefier parts of the series against Florida that Ullmark, sure, he was good, but he wasn't perfect. And that's okay. You don't need to be perfect when you're playing behind one of the best teams we have ever seen on paper in the NHL and literally the best regular season team in history. You don't need to be perfect, but Ullmark and the deficiencies in his game really started to showcase themselves off in that Game 5. The Bruins ended up losing in overtime. Ullmark had 21 saves on 25 shots against, so an .840 save percentage. Still not as bad as the save percentage he had in Game 2, but still. At this point, there's a conversation going around saying, hey, maybe the goaltender should be swapped here. Maybe Swayman should be given a role. And it's not because Ullmark sucks, but just because Swayman is really good too. If you take a look at the save percentage numbers this season, sure, Ullmark was phenomenal. .938 save percentage, 49 games played, 189 goals against average. He only lost 7 games, and he played 49. That's crazy. But Jeremy Swayman was the best backup in the NHL. He had similar numbers, .920 save percentage, .227 goals against, 37 games played. He only lost 10 times. So, realistically, this was a situation where both goaltenders had a really good shot at stealing a games and winning a games, because that is exactly what they had done for the entire regular season, and it was just straight up the entire year. There was not a moment where either of these guys went cold. And so, you have Game 6 coming along. It's in Florida. They start Ullmark. And this is where things sort of fall apart, because Ullmark, you could see that he's hurt in this game. He does not look himself. The guy makes 26 saves on 32 shots against. The Panthers ended up winning 7-5. Ullmark has an .813 save percentage, and all of a sudden the series is going back to Boston, tied 3-3. And then you kind of know what happens. Swayman gets to start, Swayman doesn't win. It's an overtime game, so you can't really blame anybody in this one on the goaltending front, but ultimately it's the Carter Verhaeghe shot that goes in, and the Boston Bruins are eliminated. Florida is going off to the second round, and now they have a 3-0 series lead on Toronto, so yeah, we'll see how that concludes tomorrow. But either way, This quote from the executives of the Bruins is kind of alarming in my opinion, because if you're going to go out there and say, yeah, Ullmark was injured at the very end of the season, and then go on to just do what you did in the postseason, where you're not playing Swayman, you're just having Ullmark there the whole time to take the brunt of this Florida Panthers team that has really come alive once the playoffs started, and then you say afterwards, yeah, no, with hindsight, I feel like we should have started Swayman earlier. Like, what? Swayman is the best backup in the NHL. What do you mean with hindsight? He was literally already poised to winning you games the entire time. You have also the conversation about contracts, because Swayman, he does expire at the end of this season. He's making $925,000. He's an RFA. You're going to have to give this guy money. How is he going to want to re-sign if he's not going to get the trust and the faith from the Boston Bruins coaching staff? Like, Jim Montgomery said it straight up, yeah, we should have done it. Like, we should have taken our .920 save percentage backup and put him in once we realized that Ullmark was injured. It feels so weird to me to be able to say that, because I think just the overall decision-making process of the Bruins, like, everybody was sort of realizing, yeah, this guy's not at 100%. Like, once Ullmark was letting in a whole bunch of goals and there were 800 save percentage games in there, it was game over. Like, okay, no, he's not healthy. He's not at 100%. Like, just think about it circumstantially. You're up 3-1 in the series. Ullmark had just gotten removed from a game because he fought a guy. You know he's already hurt a little bit. Swayman came in and he played all right. There is nothing to lose by having Swayman start in either of that Game 5 or that Game 6. You are the best regular season team the NHL has ever seen, running two goaltenders that literally won the Jennings together. And now, I mean, with hindsight, it's like, yeah, your goalie was injured. What are you going to do? Now, I will say, at the same time, there are some comments from Ullmark that kind of dispel this entire idea. Here's an article on Boston Hockey Now from Joe Haggerty from yesterday. Ullmark says it's not the right thing to make Jim Montgomery the Bruins' scapegoat in this situation. Let's scroll down into the article over here. Ullmark said he wouldn't be doing that, or giving somebody the blame and finding a scapegoat for Montgomery for the team-wide disappointment, because it wasn't the right thing to do. I think that everybody that works in this, like you guys and the media, it's very easy, and also something that everybody does when things aren't going the way they want to, is they're trying to find a scapegoat. Right now, everybody is going at different directions, said Ullmark, who went from a Vezina Trophy regular season to a 3.34 goals against and 8.96 save percentage in the playoffs while battling through some kind of injury. They're going at Monty. They're going up top. They're going at me. They're going at different people. That's not what we're about. We lose as a team, we win as a team. We've done that through the whole season. We try to do it as well now in the playoffs as well. Now is in the playoffs as well, okay. Unfortunately, we lost 4 games in the series. That cost us to not go on to the second round, and that's what it is. That's human nature, trying to find a scapegoat when things turn to expletive. Oh, okay, he uses the S word, okay. It's natural, but it's also not the right thing to do. I do love Jim Montgomery. He's been great for us all season long. I have full faith in him and whatever decisions he makes out there. He's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach, that I've ever had. And so, there are a few other things here. I mean, Jim Montgomery talked about the way it ended, disappointment, confusion, stuff like that. But I just really thought it was intriguing to note this sort of disconnect between the Bruins coaching staff and their evaluations of the goaltending versus what actually happened, especially now knowing that they knew the whole time, yeah, Ullmark was injured because of something that happened at the end of the regular season. Like, he was not healthy this series. That changes the way I view it, you know? Like, sure, they still choked it. They were up 3-1 and then they lost in overtime in Game 7, but still, you could have handled this better, in my opinion at least. So if you're a Bruins fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Am I being a little bit too harsh here? Is it fair to criticize the GM, or not the GM, but the coaching decisions to have Ullmark play this entire time, even now that they're saying, oh yeah, with hindsight, we probably should have started Swayman? Like, bro, come on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.